Hello, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I am Ben Snyder.
And I am Johannes, and we want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you are not alone.
Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people curious about living a life free of supernatural beliefs. This is a call-in show. However, we only have one phone line. So if you can't get through, we invite you to tweet your questions to at FFTV Knox.
At the symbol.
Yeah, the symbol at.
How Twitter works. The Rationalists of East Tennessee have monthly activities of the first and third Sunday mornings, and are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussion to follow. The second Sunday is a book club. The fourth Sunday is the Reflections Gathering, which is a potluck afternoon gathering at a member's house. It's generally pleasant.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun meetup, often at a bar or local eatery. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's Taproom and Pizzeria for happy hour after the show, where you will find food, drink, and conversation. And Friday, we'll be meeting for happy hour at the Field House atop Bearden Hill. To find us at either of these places, just look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion sitting upright on the table.
Today is October the 2nd, and we'll be talking about whatever we feel like, although mostly it'll be about the reasons behind belief in God, or the reasons for a lack thereof. It's a very basic show today. We're getting down to the core of this. But first, we have in the news.
Apparently, a Georgia homeless shelter has denied access to gays and lesbians. It's a faith-based homeless shelter in Columbus, Georgia.
A house of mercy.
Yeah.
Some mercy.
Not very merciful.
Oh, my.
We have a quote from the director of House of Mercy, Bob Harris. It says, homosexuality is not tolerated here at all. Let me tell you one reason why. Because of the Bible, of course. And then we have little children. I find this interesting because, you know, the Bible, of course, is used to justify, but it's when he goes on to say, and we have little children. There's a very bad stereotype about homosexuals that they're in some form or fashion sexual deviants, that they are pedophiles, or that the majority of them are pedophiles, or the majority of pedophiles are homosexual.
Well, the issue here is, I like everyone, I am concerned for the children, but what I think he's imagining is homosexual activity, not simply being homosexual. I could imagine simply being gay isn't going to somehow harm children, but then again, heterosexual activity could well harm children in the confines of the place if they walk in and see it and they have to ask the awkward questions and they get the whole birds and bees speech, and it's really miserable when it's impromptu. Especially after an unwitting demonstration. We do have a caller, but we're going to wait for that one.
We have to wait till...
Yes, that's what we're doing. We're waiting for screening.
Yes.
The women who were reportedly fleeing an abusive household with their children claim that they aren't actually gay, but Harris appeared to suggest that one of the women had breached protocol by going to, quote, practice their acts. I guess that alluding to homosexual actual activity, the act of... Anyway, Harris said gay people who do not express their sexual orientation are welcome at the House of Mercy. Now, the issue with me, express it in the sense of, I guess, physically, or express it in the sense of admitting, yes, they are, in fact.
Right.
I see no harm. Anyway, at the show, question the soundness of religious reasoning behind this practice of exclusion, and have launched a petition targeting the policy and Harris.
Yeah. It reminds me also, I once saw a clip of Bill O'Reilly on Fox News talking with Father Jonathan Morris, the priest they have on often. And it's one of those rare moments, I have to say, actually.
You know, priests are allowed to be gay.
Oh. did not.
Absolutely. The Catholic priesthood is allowed to be homosexual. It is perfectly accepted to be an open homosexual within the Catholic priesthood. The issue, however, is that they must keep their vow of chastity. Thus, yeah.
But I was going to say, it was one of the rare moments I've actually found myself siding with Bill O'Reilly, where he was defending these children who were kicked out of a Catholic school because they had two mothers who were lesbians. And Jonathan Morris was trying to defend the kicking out, but Bill O'Reilly was saying, no. The children should not be penalized at all for what the parents do.
Absolutely. Children should never be punished for, I guess, the sins of the father or the sins of the mother. These are, and granted, now this moves on into something else. What he who's without sin may cast the first stone, and yet we're looking at people making themselves the arbiters of God's law. We're looking at people seeking to implement it on earth by their own accord, and I can imagine Christians might have something of a problem with that, because the last religious body to really appoint itself for arbitrating God's law was the Sanhedrin, and we all know how that wound up for the Christians.
Well, we do have a caller.
And we have a caller, so we're gonna. Hello, caller. May we have a name or nickname?
I prefer to be called caller.
Caller. Okay.
Caller.
Hello, caller.
Yes. I actually called about something else, but I saw the subject was why leave. I think I have the answer.
Yes.
I don't believe that these Christians and Muslims and Mormons and all of these, I don't think it's their fault. A lot of times you guys come on there and you argue with these folks, and I'm telling you, I don't think it's their fault. I mean, when you're raised from 2 years old, sitting in the pew looking at that emaciated fetish to the death penalty, up on behind the podium and all, and that speaks into you, I believe that after you're indoctrinated, you really don't have that much of a choice.
Well, but then there are people who don't convert when they're young, and I don't think we say it's anyone's fault that they believe what they believe.
Say that again.
I usually don't hold. I typically do not ever hold people responsible so much for what it is they believe, because they, I'm a determinist. I think, like you, it's beyond their ability. Of their own.
Forgive me, Ben. I didn't mean you specifically, but I mean the atheists that come on there pretty much argue with the people's point of view.
It's difficult to argue with the fact that these people, eventually, by the time they reach the age of 18, are adults. Ideally, they have been subjected to standardized educational curricula up to the secondary level of education. By that point, they are adults and may make decisions for themselves. Granted, the decision has been forced down their throat for much of their lives, and they know little, if anything, else. And thus they can't be held accountable for it. However, people are accountable to things like common sense, reasonable thinking. This goes well beyond religious belief. Simple belief in God, to me, is not particularly offensive.
I think they may be accountable for those things in a legal manner. I mean, after all, they know lying and all that other sort of stuff. But being accountable for having that faith, no, I don't think is their fault. I mean, it's just not their. For example, when you let's say you go to your race like that. Here's another example. When you're really young, you hear things, and your brain gets hardwired to the sound of the language that you're in. For example, the French people, they cannot hear the sound. Japanese, I believe they can't hear the L sound, because it's hardwired that way. Now, when you get somebody that's going to church every week, getting pumped up, maybe twice a week,
Okay.
They have really no choice. And if you compare that to Muslims who have prayer 5 times a day, then they are reinforced 5 times a day.
Yes, I absolutely agree. However, as citizens, not as human beings, individual human beings, I hold no one at fault for a set of beliefs or anything of the sort, regardless of the beliefs. However, as citizens, as especially within the United States, as voters in the world's most powerful country, their voice means something. Thus, they must be rational about it. Therefore, it is their responsibility, and I do, in fact, hold them accountable for decisions for things like school boards to disallow evolution, the banning of books.
And you think that they are responsible for that opinion?
Okay, I
Yes.
think there needs to be a point made here. Responsible in a deterministic sense, of course. That yes, they did that, and they are responsible.
Well, now I disagree again. I mean, you guys are all wrong today. Oh, it usually has such a good show, but we don't America. You have this. You know, we're trying to experiment not only, but it began in America with separation of church and state and all. All throughout history, religions have been intertwined with government. As a matter of fact, with the Muslim people, I mean, you can see how they can get excited about something or a cartoon and start killing.
You're breaking up there.
Oh, okay.
However, we get the gist. However, yes, I understand. For much of human history, the church and the state have been intertwined. That's why there's two heads on the eagle for the Russian Empire at one point. The czars had it. The point being, though, however, that accountable secular government is one of the best things to happen to mankind. It's almost unarguable. Accountable secular government. Those two things are absolutely essential. They have been nothing but a boon to every single country that has adopted them since the United States began its great experiment in 1776 and adopted our Constitution, as well as the Federalist Papers, speaking of a wall of inseparability between of separation between church and state. The point being that these things have proven to be good. You're welcome to listen to your religious leaders within your private life. However, civically, as a citizen, if you hold a voter registration card, you must be held accountable for the votes and choices that you make.
Johannes, there is the way the world is, and there is the way you want it to be. And
someday they will be the same thing.
Others did want it to be that way, but do realize that today there's a big movement to allow mega churches to campaign and contribute money to candidates.
Right.
It's not necessarily a movement. It's called freedom of speech. In keeping with the Citizens United decision, agree or disagree, the law of the land states that organizations are entitled to free speech and money in the form of donation through...
No. I'm talking about the Westboro Baptist Church supports Mitt Romney for president, and they put his bumper stickers and banners all over their church.
Okay.
About organized church pact.
I didn't think they were too friendly to those of the Mormon faith.
Well, what they want to do is, yeah, I know. What they want to do is they want to make it so that a church themselves can't be politically active. They want to change the IRS rules. Several of the mega churches we're talking to. So eventually, our erosion between church and state, quite frankly, I'm pessimistic. I don't think it's going to survive.
Well, as far as the establishment of official religion, I'm more optimistic. As far as creeping influence of church, of religious ideology on a government, it's obvious in the form of things like aid to Africa for abstinence-only sex education, these sorts of things. And yes, I agree, the intrusion of religious policy, not necessarily dictation, but the intrusion of policy here and there in government, is alarming. However, these churches are organizations, and they are entitled to free speech in the form of donation and contribution.
No.
Yes, I think actually hold.
By the IRS.
I think though it is all right. That is perfectly legal to do, as with any other thing currently as it stands. But that may mean they may lose their tax. Hold on, caller. They may lose their tax exempt status because they're becoming politically involved. Another thing I want to mention is when it comes to separation of church and state, I agree with you, Johannes. I do not fear that we're going to have an official religion in this country. However, I think it's very, very implausible, or at least it's very idealistic to think that you can completely remove one's religious opinions from affecting and influencing how people vote, how people act, and what they pass as law. That's simply, those beliefs influence their actions, and their actions are involved in voting, in carrying out the law, and such. And so inevitably they are going to influence in some way. I think the main purpose and the main goal is to prevent one religion from enforcing its values on the rest of us.
As a counterpoint, though, there are plenty of politicians who hold their personal or religious beliefs outside of policy and lawmaking when it comes to things that are ultimately religiously charged issues. Case in point, John Kerry favors legal abortion. Case in point, Ron Paul opposes abortion religiously. John Kerry, being a Catholic, of course, opposes it personally, but not politically.
I know where they get that idea. That's not a biblical idea.
What's not a biblical idea?
Opposition to abortion.
Being against abortion.
Well,
in the Bible.
There's a lot in the Bible that you could be used to argue for one side or the other.
Nah, no, there's not.
Every gamete is sacred.
There is.
Remember, every gamete is sacred.
Killing in there was specifically forbidden, and there was no abortion to speak of, even though the Egyptians were practicing it. Now, there was nothing, except thou shalt not kill, and we already know there's a whole big, long list of exceptions to that.
Right. However, though, the Bible is a collection of very different writings by very different authors from very different times, and they had their own perspectives, their own opinions, and those opinions and perspectives do clash. And that's part of the reason why people can go to the Bible and come away saying that they're opposed to abortion, come away they're saying in favor of abortion, in favor of gays having rights, opposed to gays having rights.
Yeah, but they're stretching it. I mean, when you get right down to it yourself, in our place that doesn't want any gays in their place, like they said, it's direct from the Bible.
Well, but the thing is,
gays are horrible people.
Who's horrible people?
Gays, according to the Bible.
Oh, well, the thing is...
So are shellfish.
But the thing is that there's...
I adore shrimp. I am just as much of an abomination as a homosexual.
You're not Jewish, are you?
Well, no.
Then nobody cares.
Well, but then you get into the question...
The Old Testament doesn't apply?
It does not apply if you're not Jewish, no. As a matter of fact...
No, it depends on the Christian.
You can't be going around doing Jewish sins.
It depends on the Christian. Many Christians believe that Jesus upheld the law, and they do try to follow those laws. There is a wide variety of Christianities in existence who have vied since the beginning of the religion, have been vying to be number one, to be the one that's accepted as mainstream, and they have the equal basis of their own scripture.
And so what you're saying is that people can derive what they want to out of the Bible, and that sort of explains to me why this guy on TV, and he was one of the making love with animals is okay, and he said it was in Genesis.
Some people, well, yeah, I mean, I can see how he could possibly do that with Genesis chapter 2.
Yeah.
When God's trying to make a helpmeet for Adam, which wound up being fulfilled by Eve, and they have sex and reproduce. Well, God in chapter 2 first presents to him every single land-dwelling animal, and I think bird as well, to try to fill the job before he brings Eve around.
Right. The logistics.
So in a
difficult.
sense, so in an odd interpretation, yeah, you could argue that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be that you'd go out on a date, the person sitting across the table from you is an orangutan.
Well, mind you, this is a religion that evolved originally among Bronze Age sheep herders. You decide. This is, veering away from.
Guys, I'm taking up too much time.
Bestiality.
From other people that want to make sure that you're corrected today.
Okay.
Okay.
Superb. Thank you for your time, caller.
I need to point out your way.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Cheers, caller. That was a caller, and boy, do we love having them. And that means you. That includes you sitting there at home watching this, wondering who these two people on television prattling on and on about a lack of belief are. You should call us.
Yes, we'd love to discuss anything you'd like to ask us about as far as we can. Today we are talking about why it is people believe religions such as Christianity, why they believe in God, or why not.
We also have household tips and cleaning and recipes.
But the Bible, being such a conglomeration of texts, you really can look in there, and the thing is, it's how someone decides they believe, such as about homosexuals or about abortions and such, depends on what text they believe is corrupted or incorrupted. Take the Mormons, for example. They think that the Bible, the Old and New Testament, have some truth to them, but they believe they've been corrupted, and that the Book of Mormon is completely infallible, and that there are only certain parts of the Bible that are viable, that are trustworthy, and the rest they just condemn. And so, they may be able to justify certain things that people who think the whole Bible is taken as a whole is,
Cafeteria
sacred.
Catholics, potluck Protestants, picking and choosing what you'd like from your faith. And also, speaking of the Book of Mormon, I had no idea that Battlestar Galactica was based on Holy Scripture.
I
had no clue. That the planet Kobol, home of the gods, and then of course the Mormon religion has Kolob, the physical home of God in the universe.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mitt Romney's space program.
Oh. Yes.
I've taken us away from where we should be, and I sincerely apologize for that.
That was quite well done. But there are many ways that people can go when it comes to what they believe about Jesus, what they believe about gods, and so forth. It's interesting that the Greeks and the Romans of the time, they were henotheists in their polytheism, that they believed there was one God, there was an ultimate being, but that there are also these sub-gods, such as Zeus and so forth. And their belief system essentially was encapsulating all peoples of all the earth, saying that these were sub-gods that had introduced themselves to specific people and introduced specific laws for those people only. And that's how they kind of viewed the God of the Jews, was that, well, this is just a God that's introduced, that has led these people along their path and has given them their own law and such. And so when you had Christianity come along, it was, it very much tried to break away from that kind of polytheistic henotheism.
Judaism wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea of competing gods either.
No, they were not.
The way they dealt with the followers of the ban. Boy, the ban. That's a method of what would we call it today? Combat zone pacification that would make Tamerlane blush. That is just wow. Wow. Every firstborn. That's not even the band. That's just God himself doing all that lovely work. To the totally innocent people of Egypt, they probably didn't. The average Egyptian probably didn't know slaves.
South Park made an excellent point, saying that it had a episode where Cartman was back in that time as the son of the Pharaoh, and was pointing out that his father was explaining to him, why not letting the Jews go, and he said, well, is it really that different from when the North didn't want to let the South go?
Oh, wow.
He's like, I don't know that you can argue with that, and I thought that was very cute and a very interesting way of looking at it.
I should make a note for all watching. We discuss the Bible. We discuss these things like, oh, well, God let this happen. Mind you, that we're discussing this in a purely, the way to put, literary sense.
Right.
We don't think God did these things and he's a bad guy, so we don't want to believe in him.
Right.
We by and large, I can't speak for everyone in RET or ASK or all atheists on Earth, but by and large, we're not anti-theists. We just don't believe in it because it seems frivolous.
And it seems like there's no reason or no evidence either to believe.
Nonetheless, we have a call. Hello, caller. You are on the air. May we have a nickname?
John.
Huh?
John.
Hello.
Hello. I have a question for you guys. I watch y'all every week, or this program every week. How can a Christian, as Mitt Romney states to be, stand up in a private setting with wealthy people and condemn 47% of our population as bums and takers? Where's that at about?
Well, frankly, Mitt has if we're going on purely Christian belief. Mitt is convinced that he can pass through the eye of that needle. But aside from that, the 47% condemnation, that's something I would really like to address that has little of anything to do with atheism. But there's been a lot of distortion in this election cycle. What with Obama saying you didn't build that. Well, no, he was referring to public infrastructure and opportunities that exist within the United States, provided by and large by the government and taxpayers, and how it's a wonderful system. That's generally left out. All we see is you didn't build that, all we hear. With Mitt Romney saying that 47% of people, he doesn't care about them, it doesn't mean that as President of the United States, Mitt Romney doesn't care about these people.
It means in running his campaign.
Yeah, it's a shrewd election strategy. But yes, I understand what you mean that it is irksome to hear a Christian say, it's not my job to be concerned with these people. Although in that context, he did mean his candidacy, not his presidency.
But Mitt Romney, in that statement, did actually, insult the 47% by saying, that they just have no. He's like, I can't convince them to take responsibility for their lives. That is how he put it. So he was being very rude, very dismissive. But the thing is, there are many people who are Christian who are dismissive and rude, or, just have a general disregard for people in need.
I'm an atheist, and I'm dismissive and rude.
Well,
sure.
I was going to make that comment, see if anybody can claim to be a Mormon or Christian or anything else to stand up, put children down for food stamps and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I can just make one statement to you, gentlemen. I enjoy your program. I listen every week. And I'm not going to double down on trickle down. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for calling.
Cheers. Thank you, John.
All right.
Double down on trickle down. Wow, that's wow.
Well, the phone line is open again. I was a caller named John, called in asking us a question about Mitt Romney and his Christianity. We invite you to call in, ask us similar questions or different.
Absolutely. I would like to remind everyone watching that ASK and RET are both apolitical organizations. The jokes that we make on air in no way, shape, or form reflect the political position of ASK or RET. We are entirely and completely apolitical, but it doesn't mean we're without a sense of humor.
Right, and our organizations are receptive and involve people of varying political viewpoints. So
absolutely. So the fun of belief. One of the things I've heard a lot from people is, especially I generally don't do these shows about philosophy or theology. Generally, I do shows about science. I like to come on and play amateur Carl Sagan, and I'm bad at it, but I still enjoy it, so I enjoy subjecting you to it as well. But one of the things I hear very frequently are generally Christians with an opposition to the theory of evolution. What I find truly fascinating is that these same people who are willing to work on Sunday, you get stoned for that, and not the good kind. Depending on your inclination, I guess. But these people that are willing to eat shellfish, by and large, willing to wear cotton polyester blend shirts, willing to do all of these things forbidden by the Old Testament, that Jesus, by the way, did not invalidate. All of these people willing to believe all of these things. They're willing to cut out so much of the Old Testament, and yet believe so firmly in Genesis. And that gets to me. But part of what I do not understand is how evolution can be incompatible with their beliefs. Simply because a lot of evolutionary biologists, or even not really a lot, I don't have statistics on that, but simply because the world's most famous evolutionary biologist, Richard Dawkins, is an atheist, by no means invalidates his data that he's collected, because he has done research.
Right.
He's not just a science publicist, he has done research.
There is also Dr. Kenneth Miller, who is Catholic, who is a very strong defender of evolution.
Exactly. The point being that the personal beliefs of a scientist doesn't invalidate the science.
Right.
Isaac Newton was, we would today easily call him a religious fanatic, but that doesn't invalidate F equals MA. No. At least to me. The fact that he disagrees with me doesn't make him wrong. It makes him wrong on his opinions, in my mind. However, it doesn't make his facts wrong.
Right.
And that's what science is, the realm of fact. And getting back to what I was saying earlier about separating one's religious beliefs from one's civic participation, when participating in government as a voter, one must remove oneself from feelings and embrace fact. And this is asking a lot, I know that. But has voting on your emotions really gotten on our emotions? Is getting all worked up about this, misinterpreting what people say, painting them as these evil villains, has it gotten us anywhere? But we have a caller.
Yes. Yeah. Hello, caller. Welcome to Freethought Forum. May we get a name or nickname? Caller?
Juan.
Juan?
Juan. How you doing today, Juan?
Pretty good.
Great to hear. Do you have a question for us, or do you have something to say?
Yes, is it atheist or Christianity?
You mean the question? What about atheists or Christianity?
Yeah.
I don't understand your question. Could you rephrase it?
Is there a duality in creationism or Christianity?
Creationism and Christianity. You're asking if there's a dualism?
I think his question refers to the bottom of our screen.
That's
here.
what I'm wondering.
Atheism, why believe? Atheism being the general overall, I guess, theme of the show. Today's topic being, why believe? As in, why believe in the supernatural? The colon separating, I think throws some people off, maybe thinking that it refers to atheism.
Right.
Atheism isn't a belief; it's a lack of belief.
Right.
We took the easy way. Actually, more often than not, it's not the easy way. It tends to involve a lot of physics. It tends to involve, at least if you're really getting there, a lot of biochemistry, and it gets very dry, and it's not nearly as exciting as a woman turning to a pillar of salt. It's not nearly as exciting, and it doesn't make for quite the riveting reading that religious scripture does. But anyway, did you have a separate question? I mean, was it about clearing up the title?
No, I was just wondering if you believe that.
It's okay.
Okay. This is fun.
Okay, fair enough. Good talking with you. If you compose it, write it down, and
Call back
maybe
in.
give us a ring back. All right?
All right.
All right.
No
Thank
problem.
you for calling.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All right.
It's okay. It gets.
It can be
There's
difficult.
stress. There is immense amount. I am experiencing right now. I'm on television. I have no idea if anyone's. Well, clearly, at least 3 people are watching. But the pressure is immense. Calling in with no script is miserable.
It's very difficult.
I have had to take so many anti-anxiety meds just to be here today. It's overwhelming. It's a miracle I could speak. I feel like Rush Limbaugh right now. I'm just in a haze and talking. And we're apolitical, but I like to make fun. All right.
So,
if you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by those 2 organizations and by individual contributions. If you show up to the meetup or a meeting, then contributions from viewers like you, as a certain television station I can't name. So, shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern on Community Access Television. You're watching it right now. You can also see it streaming online outside of the Knoxville area worldwide, wherever there is internet. Just go to ctvknox.org.
this is a call-in show, and we are live today, October 2nd, 2012. And viewers can call in now to the number on the screen, or tweet your questions to us at symbol FFTV Knox.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, clever acronym, meets 2 times a week. It is actually clever. I like that, because we ask questions. We ask the big and important questions like, are you watching? We have
Will
evening
you call
meetups
us?
for fun, food, drink, and conversation. Ask's purpose is to supply a venue for the community, camaraderie, and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in the East Tennessee area. And you're also, anyone of faith is welcome to join and ask questions
and politely discuss.
And engage.
Debate, even.
Yeah. All right. We have an information video at this point for Ask. No. We're on this. Sit behind me.
Well.
All right.
Maybe we don't have a video.
All right. Well, the Rationalists of East Tennessee are a separate beast, but...
Oh.
Okay.
For skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org.
Is this okay? I'm trying to win.
You're doing well. All right. All right.
I think we're back.
And I think we have a caller.
We do.
All right.
Good evening, caller. May we have a name or nickname?
Bob.
Good to hear from you, Bob. Do you have a question or
comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe more than one question, actually.
Okay. You're welcome to it.
I did not. It was by happen chance that I happened to see you all on the air. I was channeling down to something else and saw this. And it's kind of interesting. I'm a Christian, but I respect everybody's belief. One thing I've tried to figure, some things out, as far as the physics of it goes. People are always looking for answers, and very often I will work with people in society, the homeless, and different folks, and as time goes on and I deal with these people, try to introduce them to Christianity because it's made such a positive difference in my life. And they'll ask questions, I don't have the answers for them. So it's always a good idea, I think, to be open-minded and look for answers.
Yes,
absolutely.
And, as far as the science goes, I think there can be a correlation between creationism and evolution.
Oh.
I don't know. I consider myself that, I'm educated, but I'm not that intelligent, especially when it comes to higher mathematics and different physical science. But
I don't think many of us are particularly good at differential equations in our heads. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Oh, I definitely don't worry about it whatsoever. I'm strong on belief, but we're all human beings. We have the right to think that we want to, in the way we want to think, and to investigate things. And
absolutely, that's part of free will.
That's us from animals, I think. But anyway, let me try to get to some points because you seem like a very intelligent person, and maybe you can help me here.
Thank you.
Do scientists, do they try to start time as maybe it's like at the Big Bang Theory? Is there anything with that? Is that where the beginning of the universe started?
This is the kind of physics that boy, I don't do. I do mechanics and electrical engineering kind of stuff. I don't do this very much. However, the ALICE experiment it's an acronym that stands for some other thing, being run at CERN right now in Switzerland, and a little bit of it pours over into France there. That big, Large Hadron Collider, it's part of that. They're trying to look for what they call the quark-gluon plasma. That should the Big Bang Theory be true, it would confirm a lot of what we theorize about the Big Bang. Now, ALICE has been relatively successful so far, but as far as the idea of the Big Bang goes, judging by what we have as far as data as to the age of the universe, the universe is... It's interesting. These are the kind of questions that keep physicists at least, up at night. As far as day-to-day belief goes, honestly, having an answer for every potential creation of reality in the universe or in the multiverse or whatever you want to, however you wish to describe it, do you really, really, really think that a God that would be capable of snapping his or her fingers and willing all of reality into existence would need to get down on one planet and fiddle and tinker with the primates to make sure they became human? Do you think he would set it up just for us, all just for us to feed his ego? If a God did exist, do you think it really would be the God of the Bible? A God that cares so much about what you do with your genitalia. A God that obsesses about what you eat. A God that cares about what you wear, your hair, everything. Do you really think that the ultimate creator of the universe that was able to will physical laws into existence that work perfectly well as far as models of the creation of and evolution of life, including humans, do you think that God would be so ultimately and intimately concerned with day-to-day details? Do you think God is a micromanager?
Okay, you're asking me. That was a lot of questions.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I'll tell you things that I think. All right, first of all, there's God that cares about what you wear, what you eat, things like that.
Right.
You know, you're referring back to the Old Testament. There are laws that are considered sins. Then there are laws that were sins against God, and there are laws that are considered sins against man, such as things that you eat. It's not necessarily sin that will hurt you when it comes to eternal life, but it's just,
well, actually,
you know, you do this, you do that, it's going to help you in the way you live. But I want to get back to things that I don't know about. You know,
sure.
If you start at time right now at the present, we keep going back and going back and going back. Keep going back before the planets. You keep going back before the stars. You keep going back.
Yes.
To where there was nothing but
matter.
I guess.
And energy.
Hydrogen.
I mean, would that be correct?
Going back to what? When there's nothing but hydrogen?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, and what created the hydrogen?
Okay, well, that's the wrong question.
And I don't mean I should have. I've asked this question. My dad was an electrical engineer, then turned nuclear engineer before he passed on as part of the Manhattan Project. He was a Christian as well. And some questions as a child I would ask, and they would say, don't know.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it's the...
Back and going back in time to where there really was no time, I guess.
Well, we don't know.
Nothing but gas at the most, right?
Well,
Space-time.
Well, hold
time
on,
is
hold
elapsing,
on.
but the universe is compressed. Theoretically, time itself was compressed. Really interesting stuff, like the idea of the universe being quite literally, at this point, taken at a snapshot in time, the size of a marble. And it's so amazing, it's just so dense with this really great, this really energetic quark gluon plasma. And all the electrons stripped off, it's crazy. And you have, as space-time being one thing, you have a universe the size of a marble. However, time is also compressed as the universe, which is really absolutely wild stuff. But again, this gets into astrophysics that I don't quite understand, and in which I am not particularly well versed. But if you have further questions, specifics, we are a show of limited time and means, and you're cutting in and out just a smidge. If you want to show up to the meetup at Barley's, don't be afraid, we don't bite.
There are physicists there, but
I'm not threatened by anyone whatsoever. I don't care of what faith they are or no faith.
We'd be happy to have you. Come join us for a beer at Barley's in the Old City.
Well, hold.
Anytime after the show.
I want to say something. I want to address your question because it really hasn't been totally addressed. You were asking, what created the hydrogen, right?
Exactly.
That was your question.
That is as far back as scientists can theorize.
Well, it's as far back as we can go at the moment. But the thing is that there's a field of physics known as quantum physics, which is different from. It behaves differently from I guess the terms mechanical physics or something like that we deal with on here, and it's when space-time gets down past a certain measurement.
We deal with it daily, particle and wave.
Oh well, yeah. So the thing is that when you get down to a very small level, cause and effect stop functioning the way we're used to. In fact, in quantum physics, oddly enough, you can even have effects preceding causes in time. meaning a backwards chain, which is just mind-bogglingly odd. And that's the thing about quantum physics, is it's beyond most people's ability to fully rationalize, because it's very counterintuitive, because we have evolved on this planet to deal with, the regular physics we deal with. This is a whole brand new type of physics we're dealing with, and we don't fully understand it yet. So yes, we don't know, we do not know exactly what was going on back there, but we are investigating it more and more as a species, not we personally. And we are finding out more and more, and confirming more and more.
Stars are fascinating, but countless time before the stars, there was something else going on. And that's just very interesting. And then, how far are human beings, what's the evolutionary process going to take us to?
That's an excellent question. Evolution has no goal. We will not necessarily be smarter. We will not have bigger heads. We've generally reached cranial capacity, with the exception of a few instances of people being born via cesarean. But generally, we've reached our maximum cranial capacity at birth, because hips just simply don't get that big. But aside from that, literally, one of the fundamental things about evolution that a lot of people don't quite get is that it has no goal. It's not a march towards complexity. It's about success. Success means having offspring.
It's just about progress. It's about time and changes that
progress is not what I would never call that progress.
Sometimes
progress
evolution
has a lot of baggage.
Progressive, built blocks.
Well, the thing with evolution, though, is that it can turn out not well in most species' favor. Most species, through evolution,
find itself out.
Well, the thing is, though, they fail to succeed, to survive, for one reason or multiple reasons, and as a result, they die out or are hunted to death or eaten. So much. And
there's an excellent reason why archaea still exists.
Takes over or something. Different things could happen.
Right, but the point is that evolution does not necessarily ensure survival. It does not ensure that there's a particular goal, and it can sometimes turn out not, to be not well in favor.
Evolution is not an end goal. I'm sorry.
But life in its simplest form. And
still exists.
We'll say slime.
Yeah.
Life in its simplest form.
Well,
goes way on back to time that can't be recorded, correct?
No, it's pretty well recorded.
Well, actually, it depends on what you mean by recorded. If you're saying prior to humans writing about it, then yeah.
You can't really date it in any way.
Actually, yes. Actually, thanks.
That carbon dating only goes back, what, 50,000?
But there's more types of dating. There's more types of dating than just carbon.
I know that there is.
Right, and those are...
If you know that it is, then why bring it up?
Hold on.
Okay.
Like a trump card.
Okay, so the thing is, you say there's more, and yet you only address carbon, even though carbon doesn't.
No, I just mentioned that. No.
Okay, all right.
And I said I would hold on, so go ahead.
Okay, all right, I accept what you're saying. But the thing is that through the other means of dating, we can estimate very well with the time frame within which these things would have occurred. We also have fossils to give us an idea of the progression of things, including plants, smaller vertebrates, and even maybe invertebrates. I'm not sure about that. Huh? Yep. So we can trace back,
less frequently.
And the farther back you get, it gets less frequent. But we have good estimates of when life didn't exist and when life did exist, and we can through our theorizing and looking at how things evolve now, because we're able to observe that in ring species and such. We can look at that. We can also look at ways that life could have, through abiogenesis. Abiogenesis being separate from evolution. Abiogenesis is how life arose from non-living materials.
I understand that.
So and through that we can even try to figure out when the atmospheric settings may have been able to allow life to start. But go ahead.
Well, there's just it's a massive theory, and it's a big time gap as to when the simplest form of life actually began.
Yeah. And
there's all kinds of different opinions among what you might consider the most brilliant people in the world, which that'll change too as time goes on.
However, the fundamental thing to remember...
everybody's entitled to their belief, and I respect you guys, and I'm certainly glad you've got the right to have your TV show and meet at different places, and you all go on, and people that believe in creationism, I don't think it's that simple as God decided to snap his fingers, and there is
Some of
life.
them it is.
Yeah.
Now, if you get into the scriptures, and if you get into the people that have, like Haley, different ones that have really studied the scriptures all the way to the Dead Sea Scrolls and interpreted that into the Hebrew, there's a lot of reason to believe in creationism.
The thing is that there's not that simply having a book that tells you that this happened isn't good enough reason to believe creationism. And creationism, by the way, I don't know if you're aware, creationism usually refers to an anti-evolution perspective where it happened the 6 days.
And
no
I believe
evolution.
to a creator and God, and not everything can be explained. You just have to have a belief sometime.
No.
Kind of
Cheers.
life-changing
This is
event
getting-
in your life.
I hate to cut you off at this point. I seriously hate to do it, but we are of limited time.
Good
Please show up at
talk.
Barley's.
God bless.
We would dearly enjoy speaking to you
Yes.
some more. Please show up at, okay. Anyway, nonetheless, if you're still on watching, please show up at Barley's.
We would appreciate it if you come and talk further.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Speaking to creationism, when we say creationism, we mean the belief in Genesis as though it were literal.
Right.
Or something akin to that. But yes, science has a lot of questions, yes. For every answer we find, we get at least 2 more questions, if not more. The point being, though, that when you talk about scientific consensus, and things are not true simply because the majority of scientists believe them.
Right.
They're true because facts are there. Listen, if someone could disprove evolution tomorrow, it would make the biggest scientific career of the century.
Yes.
However, it doesn't happen. The point is that, yes, there is a disagreement on specifics. However, the general outline is by and large not really in question.
Right.
It has been put to question. It has been put to. However, the problem is that finding experimental evidence for alternate theories has so far failed.
Right. The idea also that science will change. You pointed that out, and you weren't saying necessarily it was negative that scientists will change their minds. Well, yes, but there is generally a building upon that it changes. It doesn't usually, completely reverse itself.
The modern synthesis. Darwin was right, Lamarck was wrong, but Gregor Mendel had something to add. And we have a caller.
Yes, we do.
Hello, caller. May we have a name or nickname?
Jim.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
Hi.
I'm fine. How are you?
Not
Good.
too bad.
Okay, this is my very first time ever seeing y'all's show, and I find it really interesting. And I guess y'all do this like weekly?
Yes. Every
Okay.
Tuesday.
Well, I have a couple little short questions. I'm kind of confused by the title myself. As one college, then I was trying to explain it. Does this mean that you all? I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but does this mean that y'all don't believe in God? And can you maybe, because I was listening to the last caller you just had there about the creation thing, and that kind of confuses me too, because we have people talking about heaven and hell, but my personal opinion, I believe in just what I believe in. That's what matters to me, I guess.
Okay.
But I guess my question is like, do y'all believe in God? Then my other question is like, where did we come from?
Oh.
Then,
The answer is,
I've never saw
You
nobody
wanna
come
address
back
the
from
first
heaven
one?
or hell to tell me.
I'll address the
that it
second.
existed.
Oh, okay.
So that's my questions.
All right, I'll address the first, and he'll address your second. To address your first question, we don't believe in gods. We don't believe in any kind.
I'm not offended by either way,
Sure.
Okay.
And
Absolutely. From whence did we come? In the sense, from how did humans come about?
Yeah, I mean, where did human beings, how do we get to where we are? I mean, how
Human
did we get on
beings
Earth?
are primates. We are animals. We are part of Animalia. We are primates. We are, in fact, great apes. Don't let anybody call you an ape or a primate, because you are one and so are they. But the whole point being that we are descended from this great chain of primates going all the way back to, I think, the late Cretaceous. But anyway, the point being that there were those that were similar to us before. One of the key things to understand is a lot of people will say things, oh, we came from monkeys. Well, no. No, we didn't. We have a common ancestor with them. Case in point, chimpanzees, to say that they are our ancestors is wrong. They are modern cousins of ours. We share an ancestor at some point with chimpanzees, and I think it's, 7 million years ago or something?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, Point being that we do share a common ancestor with almost, as best as we can tell, all life on Earth. You have a lot in common with a fruit fly, more than you could ever know. Your ability to process lactose, as a into galactase sugar, galactase not being the sugar, it's an enzyme. But the point being that your ability to process milk, the way that we understand that, quite a bit of that actually comes from fruit flies, studies of them anyway. You have a lot in common with them, which is really weird to think about. But we have a lot in common with plants. Literally, a field of wheat, we share quite a bit in common with them as far as genetic material goes. And I don't just mean the fact that we both have DNA. We share a lot in common with things like wheat. If you want to go really far back, fungi are the, I guess, immediate predecessors, if you want to call it that, to animals. Phylogenetically speaking, as far as genetic similarity, fungi and animals are pretty close together. And that's why things like an antifungal have a lot nastier side effects than just an antibiotic would. So biologically speaking, how did we get here is a very well understood and covered thing. So, do you have more questions?
Yeah, heaven, hell, or people that there's a heaven, there's a hell, but my opinion, I've never heard no one coming back to tell me the difference, and I just wonder if there's a such thing.
No, we don't believe in heaven or hell, but as Mark Twain said, I go to heaven for the climate and hell for the company.
Right.
But that wasn't really a supernatural thing. Caller, Bob, right?
No, sir.
Jim,
Yeah.
Sorry. We've had a lot of callers today. Jim, if you would do us the honor, we're going to be meeting at Barley's. The show is closing down here shortly. We need to get wrapped up and get through our closing here. But if you would show up at Barley's either this Tuesday or any other Tuesday from 5:30 to 6 or after the show, after 6, show up, pay us a visit, talk with us. We're happy to see you regardless of your belief and happy to answer questions.
Well, we do have a couple minutes.
Real quick. You don't have to go all the way into details. Okay, I do a lot of I have game fowl. I breed game cock, right? And there's a guy, it's all studied. He says like a hen carries the egg basically like in a womb,
Hey, Jim, you're breaking up. We're having trouble understanding what you're saying.
Okay, sir. I just appreciate what questions you did answer, and you will have.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead for a minute if you'd like. I just couldn't understand what you were saying. You're breaking up.
There's this guy. He studies genetics, and he says I breed I said game cock, game fowl, and he says a game hen carries its egg just like a woman does. It's one, kind of like you were saying a minute ago, how we go back to our ancestors. And it just made a lot of sense to me what you say about the fruit flies and stuff.
Absolutely. It's been largely discredited, but if you look back into it, I know Linnaeus was he's a jerk, but he's a fan. There was a lot of work of what was embryology in general, looking at fetuses of different animals. We look a whole lot like zebrafish, actually, really early on. It's wild stuff, but we appreciate the call. We're going to wrap this up.
Y'all are only once a week.
Wait. Once a week.
Once a week, 5 to 6 p.m. on Tuesday.
So this is some interesting stuff. Thank you, all.
No problem.
Thank you for
Thanks,
calling, Jim.
Same bat time, same bat place. That's where you'll find us. Although we have nothing to. Well, we're vaguely related to bats, I guess. I'm not the bat, though.
It is time to start wrapping things up.
Yes.
Get out your pen and paper. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee.
Please send feedback or leave a voicemail at 865-272-9060, or, probably a better idea, email us at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
You can see the show on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on this Knoxville station and at 2200 Greenwich.
Greenwich.
Greenwich?
Greenwich.
Oh, my bad. Greenwich. I've been saying it wrong all this time. Meantime, at ctvknox.org.
We would like to send thanks to Sam, Jonas, and Forrest for technical support, And to the staff at, you know what, no one can thank me for pronunciation. And to the staff at CTV Knox, and to all of our callers, we appreciate every bit of a call that you've given us. Remember, one must examine one's belief. A life wherein you no longer. God, what has happened to me near the end of this show? I said
an unexamined life?
I should say like Godzilla or something, but
be more fitting.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, remember, please examine your beliefs. A life in which you don't examine your beliefs, in which you don't ask the really important questions, is it really and truly worth living? By the way, it might make you a better person to know. I'm not sure if it would make you a better person to know that no to multiply. Physics won't make you a better person necessarily. It might make you a better employee, and it might open your mind. Same thing with studying a little bit of evolution. Read something like The Greatest Show on Earth. It's an excellent introduction. It's absolutely tremendous. Either way, thanks for watching.